Drivers, start your engines. Pull those belts down tight one more time, warm up those tires, hit your marks, and let's go racing, boys and girls. NASCAR, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, and NHRA Racing Talk. This is the Championship Racing Network. Now here is your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson, with producer John Myers.
Weekend after Talladega, which means, hey, everybody's back in studio. Go figure.
We are here.
Yes, we are. I'm Steve West. That's John Myers. That's the producer. My co-host is Matt Nicholson right over there. Thank you very much for joining us, whether it's on our flagship station, Thunder 92.7. If you can't reach us via your FM dial, you might be able to catch us via any number of radio streaming apps. Or
Quite a
YouTube.
few.
Or YouTube. Might be the better way to do it.
Live.
Is it just me, or do I sound really low compared to the two of you? Do I need to switch microphones?
I'd say go to 3.
All right. Let's try that.
That's a little louder.
That sounds better.
Yeah,
lot
4
louder.
is pretty much dead.
Welcome to live radio. This is a live show, and we appreciate you checking us out. John mentioned YouTube. YouTube is a very easy thing. It's kind of like catching us on Facebook. If you go in and you do the search engine in either YouTube or Facebook and just type in Championship Racing Network, you can like the page on Facebook. You can subscribe for free to our page on YouTube, and you can be alerted anytime we go live for whatever it may be,
Yep.
long or short.
And hopefully in the near future, it'll be simulcasted.
We're working on that.
Who knows?
We're working on that. Meantime, hope you had a great week. Talladega.
Yep. It was.
It was fun to be there.
It was.
It was
really
fun to see the place basically at full capacity as
Which is basically is starting to roll back into a 3-day weekend, but on the wrong days: Saturday, Sunday, Monday, instead of Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. We were the center of the racing world as we cover it last weekend. NASCAR's top 3 series were running there. We'll start off with the Camping World Truck Series last Saturday. Came down, as it'll often do at Talladega, to a last lap situation. A wreck on the Alabama Gang Superstretch left it a battle amongst 4 trucks. Todd Gilliland leading John Hunter Nemechek and Tate Fogelman most notably. Gilliland fell for a fake by Nemechek and was sent high on the track. Nemechek and Fogelman with Tyler Hill trailing, leaving it a 3-man battle. And then you got this little fun situation here. Coming through the tri-oval, Nemechek trying to play blocker as much as he could, found himself high side. Fogelman and Hill went low. When Nemechek attempted to block, he ended up getting spun, which that gives the win to a, let's just call it not pristine Tate Fogelman truck, marking his first career win in the Camping World Truck Series.
Yeah. I would say less than pristine.
First time, I'm constantly amazed. I mean, I've been going to Talladega for a while. I've been doing the PA booth every single race since the fall 2007 race. And you constantly see stuff and you go, wow, I've never seen that before. How many more times will I ever be able to say that? And it seems like every single year something happens that I go, wow, I've never seen that before. I have never seen a situation where the winner of the race had to first go to the infield medical care center to be checked out and had to have their vehicle towed to Victory Lane.
That is a first.
I have never seen that before.
I've never seen it live in person like that, but I have seen it. The last I remember was Terry Labonte and Dale Earnhardt at Bristol. I think it was 96, if I'm not mistaken, to where Labonte's car come into Victory Lane and it looked like a Chinese pug.
Yeah. But to have the car have to be towed and the driver, before going to Victory Lane, have to be checked out in the infield care center.
A truck that goes to the infield that
Wow.
looks like you just crossed the line at somewhere like Richmond or Martinsville.
Or a demolition derby.
Or Bristol. Or a demolition derby, for sure.
So Fogelman wins. Hill comes in second. Gilliland actually recovers, finishes third. A spinning John Hunter Nemechek crossed the line in fourth, as probably, instead of, if you cross the finish line straight up and that's noon, he was probably pointing at about 8 or 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Ryan Truex was fifth. Corey Roper sixth. Spencer Boyd, Danny Bone, Chase Birdie, Keith McGee round out your top 10. Yeah, a lot of names that you don't normally hear. Welcome to Talladega. It's the fun part about it.
Yeah.
Nemechek, with his fourth place spinning finish, takes over the lead by 1 point over Ben Rhodes, Matt Crafton, and Sheldon Creed. The 4 that are on the hot seat, Stuart Friesen, Chandler Smith, Carson Hocevar, and Zane Smith. They range anywhere from Friesen being 5 points under the cutoff line to all three other drivers more than 30 points down. Their next race, correct me if I'm wrong, is Martinsville.
Correct.
Which means they've got one chance because championship weekend will be the next weekend in Phoenix.
There's one name that I see that ended up being missing out of the top 10.
Okay.
That if on the last lap, if Tyler Hill doesn't ill-time a bump draft to Tate Fogelman going into turn 3, gets Fogelman a little bit loose, and he doesn't tail slap this truck and get him loose, the 32 truck of one Brett Holmes would have been easily top 10, if not top 5.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Easily top 10, if not top 5.
Yeah, I agree. And he had a really good truck.
With,
he led laps.
Oh yeah.
It was a great night, great day for him.
When he got loose, we told us that he thinks there was a tire going down when he got tail slapped.
Gotcha.
When he got loose, and Matt Crafton got in the back of him in 3 and sent him in the wall, and sent him in that started that last lap big crash.
Right.
But he was locked on to Ben Rhodes, and he wasn't going to leave Ben Rhodes until he had to make his move.
And he shouldn't have.
He shouldn't have. He was in a
He was in a fantastic position. He really was.
I don't think fantastic is the best way to say it. My opinion. I think it's better than fantastic.
About perfect.
Because he was putting himself in a position to have the slingshot move to make.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Easily.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yep.
About 30 minutes after the Truck Series got done, Xfinity Series got things rolling. Coming down to the end, after 5 cautions and a red flag lengthened the race, suddenly became a race to dusk or the checkers. Father Time, as he always does, won. NASCAR called the race on lap 107, about, 10 or so laps?
6.
6 laps shy of things. Well, and it all comes down to the fact that the 5th of those yellows happened right then. NASCAR said, you know what, it's not going to be light enough for us to safely restart this race to get even 6 more laps in. So when the yellows and the checkers were shown to the field, Brandon Brown was out front. And he gets his first NASCAR Xfinity Series win. 2 races, 1 day at Talladega, 2 first-time winners. Brown, Brandon Jones, Justin Allgaier were the top 3. They were trading the lead amongst each other when the yellow came out after Harrison Burton had spun his number 20 in turn 4, sparking an 8-car crash. Brown was determined to have been out front at the exact time that the yellow was shown. With that, again, he claims his first Xfinity Series win. Brandon Jones, Justin Allgaier 3rd, Daniel Hemrick 4th. Then you got Jordan Anderson, Justin Haley, Jeb Burton, Austin Cindric, Josh Berry, Joe Graff Jr. Yes, Joe Graff Jr. gets a top 10.
From 40th to 10th.
Not a bad move.
Nope.
Austin Cindric comes out 77 points above the cutoff line, leads the points. Leading us to the 4 that are on the hot seat. They are Jeb Burton, 8 under, Myatt Snyder, 24 down, Riley Earpst, 32 back, and sitting 48 below the cutoff line, Jeremy Clements, needing a win. And then we came to Sunday. Sunday came, and Sunday went. As NASCAR found an opening in the weather, they made the command to start engines, did a couple of pace laps, and right after throwing the 1-to-go order and the drivers were going down pit road to set their tacks to make sure that they had the proper pit road speed, the rains fell again. For a time, NASCAR was trying to get things rolling, but Mother Nature wasn't going to cooperate, so the race was postponed to Monday. Despite being there a consistent and constant threat of rain, the race actually did get underway. There was one short delay due to rain on lap 74, but they were able to get things rolling again, and as NASCAR requires, you must either get halfway or at least through the second segment, and therefore the race can become official. Halfway at the Yellowwood 500 is lap 94. Let's take you to lap 118, where Mobile, Alabama native Darrell Bubba Wallace Jr. had been pushed out front by his future 2311 teammate, which, by the way,
was the shove of the century, if you ask me.
I agree.
He laid into him, and he knocked the daylights out of him.
Note to Birmingham television sports anchors.
Oh?
2311 Racing is on paper as 23XI, 23 and the Roman numeral for 11. That does not translate into 23 by 1 racing.
Whoa.
Hysterical.
I missed this. Who said that?
I'll just say it's not Jeff Spiegel, but the other guy at 3340.
Hey, Spiegs. Spiegs, come on, man. Get your boy.
Saw it live as it happened Sunday night
Okay. So
on television.
that was the thunder noise that I heard from the western skies from here. Was Steve's chin hitting the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. I know who you're talking about.
Let me repeat, not 23 by 1, 2311 Racing.
Okay. There's two of them over there, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't Jamie Hill.
You are correct.
Okay. Gotcha. Carry on.
For those of you who would like to play the elimination game.
Yeah.
For those of you that are not in Alabama, don't worry about it. Yeah. Unless the sportscaster in your town says 23 by 1 Racing. You'll know better. Anyway, that's Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch still running for Chip Ganassi Racing through the end of the year. Kurt pushed Bubba Wallace out in front, and when the caution was shown due to a crash involving Ryan Preece and Chris Buescher, it was Bubba who was the leader. A shower decided to rain on the caution parade shortly after, so NASCAR brought the cars down pit road. They began track-trying efforts. That was countered by even heavier rains falling, and NASCAR decided to make the decision to call it. And what does that do? That gives us 3 races in 3 days. In one weekend at Talladega Superspeedway, and 3 first-time winners, and 2311 Racing gets their first win as a team.
2311 Racing.
Yes.
Not 23 by 1.
No.
Okay.
By the way, we will hammer on that for the rest of the day. Brad Keselowski was second, Joey Logano third. Kurt Busch was fourth, then Christopher Bell, Chris Buescher, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Eric Jones, and Anthony Alfredo. Again, 3 first-time winners in the 3 weekend races, and in the Cup Series, it means a little bit more because we are in playoff time. Only Denny Hamlin coming into Talladega locked into the next round, and as it is Talladega, no one being locked in on points. Kyle Larson is second in the standings, only 22 points above the cutoff line, so he's not locked into the next round by any stretch.
He came in 57 ahead.
Yeah, Talladega will play with you. The 4 on the hot seat as we head into this weekend's final race of this round of the playoffs. Kevin Harvick is 9 under. Christopher Bell's 28 under. They could still make it in on points. Bell with a much harder road. Then the 2 that need wins. William Byron is 44 down, and Alex Bowman is 52 under. That's half the Hendrick Motorsports field that some thought might actually make up the entirety of the playoff championship contenders once we get to Phoenix.
So we thought. But that's not going to be the case.
Not going to happen. In fact, I'm going to say it right now, Byron and Bowman are out, and probably so is Bell. I'm going to give Kevin Harvick more than a puncher's chance because he's actually a pretty good road course racer and does pretty well at the Roval.
Yeah, pretty decent. But I don't know if you've seen this note as well. That is the first win for the number 23. The number 23. Since 1954.
It's been a while.
That was the first weekend ever in series history for the overall sport that there were 3 first-time winners at the same track on the same weekend.
That I can believe.
Ever.
Wholeheartedly. The slate this weekend is actually a somewhat busy one. Camping World Truck Series is off. Xfinity Series, however, gets things going later today with the Drive for the Cure 250 presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina. Somebody somewhere down the line is just going to shorten that, I know it. Anyway, it's at the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. NBC and PRN Radio have the coverage starting at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time. Sunday is pretty busy. Formula One kicking it off in Turkey, running the Rolex Turkish Grand Prix at the Intercity Istanbul circuit. It's 14 turns, 3.31 miles long. ESPN2 will carry the race live, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central Time. They are in qualifying?
Q1 just ended.
Okay. Eliminated are both Haas cars and at least one Alfa Romeo.
You're correct.
Aha. And one, I'm going to guess, one Williams.
No.
Oh, okay.
Whoa, wait a minute. There's Q1 showing over, but laps are still cycling through. Actually, the laps that are cycled through, everything you said just incorrect.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wait a minute. They're still cycling.
Okay.
Still cycling.
All right, we'll come back to that.
That'll work, yeah.
NASCAR's Cup Series will come next tomorrow. They're going to run the Bank of America 400 on the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. For those of you that don't know how the Roval actually is inside the track, it is that road course built inside Charlotte Motor Speedway. 17 turns, 2.42 miles long. NBC and PRN Radio have the coverage beginning at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central Time. Shortly after that, the NHRA's Camping World Drag Racing Series heads into the finals of the Texas NHRA Nationals. That'll be at the Texas Motorplex just outside of Dallas-Fort Worth. Airtime for the finals there on Fox Sports 2, not 1, 2, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time. So there. All right. Have they figured it out? Have you figured it out?
I think they have. They figured it out. Okay.
All right. What do we got?
Yeah, it's break time. It's break time.
Portions of this show are being brought to you by the fine folks at Ox Foundation Solutions, and I'm here to tell you, if you are looking to make sure that your house is proper, in other words, the foundation, if you want to make sure that the house is in the proper place and everything's fine, because you've been noticing things like sticking doors or uneven floors, windows that are hard to open and or shut, or cracks in the brick or basement walls or sheetrock, or even worse, standing water. None of these are guarantees that you have a foundation problem, but they could be signs that you might be having a failure. And if you just ignore it, number one, it's not going to go away, and number two, only getting worse, it's going to become only that much more expensive. You should get it checked out by calling our good friend Michael Hart at Ox Foundation Solutions, 205-362-6419, or set it up by email. Set up an appointment where he can come out, Mike at oxfoundations.com. He'll come out, and at no cost to you, with no obligation, set you up with a written foundation assessment to let you know what, if anything, is wrong. If there happens to be something wrong, mention the promo code WEST that you heard right here on the Championship Racing Network. You get an extra 15% off whatever the estimate is. Can't beat that with a stick. Find out now before it gets worse. 205-362-6419 or Mike at oxfoundations.com. Set up the appointment now. Get it taken care of before it becomes the point where you cannot afford it. Tell him you heard about it right here on CRN.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. on the Championship Racing Network. We'll be right back.
Two things at once.
That's right.
Hey, welcome back in. Hope everything is going well. I'm Steve West with Matt Nicholson, producer John Myers, and a weird computer. Anyway, as we were going to break, we were trying to figure out I guess I should say Formula One's website was trying to figure out exactly what was going on at the end of Q1.
Yes, it was.
They finally have it figured out.
Yes, they have.
My prediction had been both Haas cars and at least one Alfa Romeo. I got the teams right, the numbers wrong.
Yep, you got one Haas car, two Alphas, a Williams, and a McLaren.
So I did get the Williams right.
You did. It did cycle through to the Williams, and
Okay.
it is Nicholas Latifi.
As I would have figured.
Your bottom five in Q1, excuse me.
Yes, Q1.
That would be Nikita Mazepin,
Shocking.
Kimi Räikkönen, Antonio Giovinazzi, Nicholas
Well,
Latifi,
yep.
and Daniel Ricciardo.
That is a surprise. Now, that being said, there is the great equalizer going on in Turkey right now, which is wet weather. Now, they can run in wet weather, but not all drivers are all that good at it. Just saying. And being the great equalizer that it is, you notice that only one Haas car was mentioned there, which means that making it into Q2 was one Mick Schumacher.
It is. They just roll in Q2 right now. He finished 14th in Q1, so he barely made it in, but he's in.
Hey,
Hey,
you're in.
Long as you're in, that's all that matters.
You're in. So you're saying there's a chance.
There's a minute chance, but there's a chance.
And then there's the fact that the guy who was at the top of the speed chart, if I remember correctly.
Yes, he has a 10-spot grid penalty, and that would be Sir Lewis.
Yes. The points leader had to have an engine change, but the thing about it is they didn't change the entire power unit.
They changed the internal combustion part per the F1 wording.
I don't know why you wouldn't change the whole thing if you're going to be slapped with a grid spot penalty anyway, but
They don't want to start at the back of the pack.
you know what?
Toto didn't want to do that.
I think Lewis, of all the people in the world, could have handled it.
Probably.
Just saying. All right, well, let's get back into the news here, and we're going to start with NASCAR, as you might imagine, since all the racing action last weekend was there. And I'm about to get up on my soapbox, boys and girls. I haven't broken this out in a while.
I've actually dusted mine off too.
Yeah. The win by Bubba Wallace, which, as we have talked about many times on this show, is the first win by a black driver at the top level of NASCAR since Hall of Famer Wendell Scott did it back in Jacksonville, Florida in 1963. This pulled out some of the worst in people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna back you up on something of this too. It brought out some of the worst in people, even though. Let me put this disclaimer: we are not a politically affiliated show. This is a sports show.
Yes.
There have been chants, let's call it that, go on at numerous sporting facilities, baseball, football, NFL, and college.
Yes.
Go on that are really, really kind of distasteful. And when they start getting picked up on national television in your backyard, you're going, what in the world?
Yeah.
That combined with this right here should have never happened.
No, it shouldn't have.
It should have never happened.
Now, I get what we got. I remember what we got last year. We all remember what happened last year out of Talladega. This rope pull incident at Talladega last year. And now all of a sudden everyone's going, oh, well, now he gets this great ride with Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan. Oh, the fix will be in. He's guaranteed to get a win, blah, 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 blah. Bubba Wallace has never been a slacker at super speedway tracks. He has always been a very good racer at Daytona and Talladega.
He's always been up front.
And the fact that he was in the lead when it just so happened that the yellow fell is, truth be told, by pure happenstance, because any one of the drivers that started the race 118 laps before could have been in that exact same position.
This is the question that I posed to someone during the week that brought this actual thing up to me. I said, would the same thing be being said if Anthony Alfredo was up front?
I'll take you back to 2019.
Yeah.
You and I
Mm-hmm.
went down to Daytona
Yep.
for a race that, as it turned out, got rained out for the day that we were there. We were listening to it on the drive back.
Mm-hmm.
That race, correct me if I'm wrong, was delayed, or I'm sorry, was postponed, called early due to rain, and had a first-time winner in the name of Justin Haley.
That drives for Spire.
Spire Motorsports.
Spire.
I don't remember people complaining that there was a fix in to make sure that Spire got a win.
I told this person, I said, would you be saying the same thing if Anthony Alfredo was out front? No.
No.
Would you be saying that if Quinn Houff was out front?
No. There are exactly two people in the recent history of NASCAR, only two, that this would happen to. One is Bubba Wallace, the other would have been Danica Patrick.
True. True.
Everybody under the sun that is a detractor claims the fix is in if one of those two wins. If it's anybody else, including any of the three of us, nobody's saying that there's a fix in. Stop it.
All right. I'm going to throw this out there to you, and this is something I thought about. The first delay that happened,
Mhm.
who was leading?
I have to admit, I don't know. I was on the road at that time.
Cody Ware.
Huh. I don't seem to remember anybody complaining or saying that there was a fix in to get Cody Ware and Rick Ware Racing a win.
Cody Ware. Cody Ware was leading.
Yeah.
Even though this delay was at lap 74, it could have easily happened at lap 95.
Oh, yeah.
If it had happened at lap 95, kids, that's an official race.
Mhm.
Could have happened.
John, you look like you have something on your mind.
Oh, you just mentioned Danica and how she could be in the mix of this whole upheaval.
She could have been.
And blah, blah, blah.
Oh, easily could have been.
My take on that is, what are the odds of her even being in the top slot to begin with?
Now,
Remember her debut in the Cup Series. She claimed the pole. She was in a good car. She was in Stewart-Haas Racing equipment. This is not slouch equipment either. It's not like 2311 Racing is getting junk. They've got Joe Gibbs Racing equipment.
Okay, she was on the pole. For how
And she
long?
claimed a top 10 in that race.
Okay.
Now,
No.
as for the rest of her career, it was all downhill. I'll admit to that.
Actually, it was more
Now,
into the
I'm
wall.
not going to take away from her for this. In similar fashion,
Okay.
she ran super speedways to a degree to the same level as Wallace.
I could
She
agree.
was consistently towards the front at super speedway.
Yeah. I agree.
In all
I agree.
honesty, I give her props. I couldn't do what she does.
Oh, gosh,
I
yeah.
could not climb into that car
Well,
and go that fast.
you and I talked about this after we did the Talladega Racing Experience.
Mhm.
Okay? And we weren't going as fast as they go there. Okay? I've got a certificate on my wall that says I was at 150.2 miles per hour, which is easily the fastest I've ever gone in any kind of car, anywhere, anytime. In real life. Virtually, I've gone much faster, but that's another story.
Oh, yeah.
We've all gone faster virtually. I'm talking about in real life, 150.2. And we got, what, 6 laps? 5 laps.
5.
About lap number 3, you start getting set, comfortable in the seat. And I'm not saying my mind was wandering, because it wasn't. But my mind, as I'm going into turns 1 and 2, I'm suddenly thinking to myself, I'm going as fast as this car will go, which I was presuming was about 140 to 150. So I'm thinking to myself, this is a car that at Talladega, under normal Cup Series rules circumstances, is going 40, 45, maybe 50 miles per hour faster than what I'm going right now. And there's 35 to 40 more cars on the track, and they're all around me. And I got to thinking about what that was like. And suddenly I gained even that much more respect for what those drivers do at Talladega and Daytona.
Yep.
I already had a lot of respect for it. It got amped up that much more. Stop. this whole thing with Bubba Wallace. If you don't like Bubba Wallace, don't talk about Bubba Wallace. Okay?
That's a good take on the situation.
There's a great phrase out there that I learned from our aforementioned friend at Ox Foundation Solutions, Michael Hart. Used to be our mom and dad would say, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Yep.
I'm going to amp it up. I love this quote from Michael Hart, and he got it from somebody else. It's better to keep your mouth shut and be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Ding.
Bingo.
Where's our bell? On social media, in the racing world, where they have a heck of a lot more respect for each other, both active and retired, and the family of the late Wendell Scott all voiced their support of Wallace, and of course, sports outlets in the state and around the country reporting the historic win got the replies from many who thought, again, that it was NASCAR making sure that Wallace got a win. Shut up. Those in the camp that need to remember this is not, again, the first time that NASCAR has called a race due to rain, and it's certainly not the first time that a driver has claimed their first Cup career win in a rain-shortened race. Again, Justin Haley.
Chris Buescher, Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Mm-hmm.
I could go on for days.
The list goes on and on.
Mm-hmm.
A pretty good amount of Hall of Famers in there, too.
Quite a bit.
Either way, one of the most notable ones, Wendell Scott's grandson, Warwick Scott Sr., put on social media, R.I.P. Wendell Scott, and congratulations, Bubba Wallace. And then he added, quote, Papa was there the whole time, chilling in the rain. I could see that.
You could.
That's a cool picture in your head. Bill Lester posted on social media, finally, it's official. You've done it. So proud of you and what you've accomplished. Glad I was a witness. And his fellow drivers, current ones, voiced their support as well. Brad Keselowski, a second-place finisher to Wallace, showed his envy, said, I was thinking, quote, oh, geez, I wish I could have made that move. His was the right move at the right time. Team co-owner Denny Hamlin had a message for the detractors, simply saying this, they are just haters. That's all you can really say about it. And that other co-owner of 2311 Racing, again, not 23 by 1. NBA Hall of Famer Michael Jordan, he posted on social media, quote, I'm so happy for Bubba and our entire 2311 Racing team. This is a huge milestone and an historic win for us. From the day we signed him, I knew Bubba had the talent to win, and Denny and I could not be more proud of him. Let's go. One more note, and I promise I'll move on from this.
I've got a little bit more.
Okay.
Well, go ahead.
I'll turn it over to Matt. How's that? Bubba Wallace did not luck into a Cup Series ride.
No.
Bubba Wallace has shown talent enough to get a Camping World Truck Series ride, which he won races in.
With KBM.
When Joe Gibbs Racing decided to let him go, he landed, rather softly, into the Xfinity Series. Oh, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he grab a win?
He did not.
Okay. Well, he certainly competed well.
Oh, he competed very well with when they were running Roush Fenway.
Kind of subpar equipment now that I remember, because, yeah, you're right. It was Roush Fenway equipment. All of that led to him getting a Cup Series ride with Richard Petty Motorsports. In, well, I hate to say it, but sorry, Richard Petty, to the king, somewhat subpar equipment. But did well enough to where when Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin decided to team up and were going to use, as we all knew, because it was Denny Hamlin, high-level equipment, Joe Gibbs Racing equipment, they thought well enough of Bubba Wallace to put him in the car.
They did.
Bubba's not a slouch of a driver. Bubba didn't luck into it. Bubba didn't luck into a win. As much as you can't say when it comes to Talladega or Daytona. Anybody, truth be told, can grab a win at either of those tracks. And when you throw the weather in, again, literally anybody can win. It wasn't a fix. It wasn't something that NASCAR deigned, okay, at the beginning of the day, if we get the opportunity, we're going to make sure 2311 Racing and Bubba Wallace get the win. No. Right place, right time, that's how it works. It worked for Michael McDowell at the Daytona 500, who, by the way, I didn't hear anybody complaining then or thinking that there was a fix. It worked for Bubba Wallace here.
Just a quick point. It was just his day.
Exactly.
True.
Everybody
Very true.
has those days where they excel and everything goes right for them. They're in the right place at the right time.
Bingo.
I've hardly ever seen them, but it was his day. And that's
was.
all there is to it.
Yeah. So stop it. And for those who actually did claim that it was official but somewhat tainted because his future teammate Kurt Busch pushed him out there and then Bubba left him alone, I got news for you. Kurt would have dropped Bubba had the position been reversed like a hot potato.
He would have dropped him like an anchor going off the Titanic.
I'm off my soapbox. Matt, take it as you will.
I will take the short soapbox here. I heard the call. Go ahead. I heard the call over the radio from series race director Tim Berman.
Okay.
And I'll say, just try to mimic it just like I heard it. All right, send the Titans onto the track, please. Send the Titans out.
Okay.
They were going to
track
start.
drivers.
They had intentions of starting that race back to give every attempt to finish it.
Sure. NASCAR will tell you straight out, no matter how many laps or how many miles a race is advertised for, be it 400 miles, 400 laps, 500 miles, whatever it is, they're going to do their level best to get it to the advertised length.
But in, and I'll pause it after this because I see we're up against break. Then when they start, you start seeing lightning bolts coming off of turn 1 and 2.
That's a problem.
Every single strike,
30-minute counter.
30-minute clock. So we got 5 strikes, 30 hour 32, 2 hours and 30 minute minimum delay. Not unless it's 5 strikes in consecutive order.
Concurrent. It's concurrent.
It's concurrent. Yeah.
But it goes, if you got 5 strikes in a row, and let's say it happens once every minute, from the last of those 5, that 30-minute counter starts.
Right. It can be a scenario, strike, 30 minutes. 29 minutes and 54 seconds, another strike. There's 30 more.
Resets the counter.
30 more. They were going to start that race back. No fix.
They had every intention of it.
They had every intention of starting it.
Yep.
Okay. And I got one more piece when we come back from break. It's going to take me a minute.
All
I
right.
don't want to go overboard.
We also have a couple of other Cup Series bits of information. Trackhouse Racing, Chip Ganassi, they are inexorably linked. We'll tell you all about that in case you missed it. And NBC Sports might be doing a foretell in the future, and you might not like it. We'll let you know in on that as we continue Cup Series and Soapbox time right here on CRN.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network. Fuel only, fuel only. Go, go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
We are back here on CRN. I'm Steve West. John Myers is our producer. Matt Nicholson is the man on the soapbox, and he has the floor.
The last thing I'm going to say about this deal from last week with all of the flare-up, let's just call
Tonight
it
at
that.
9/8 Central on B.
All of the flare-up.
We're having fun with computers, boys and
Wow.
girls.
Yeah, we are. Tonight at 9/8 Central.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
Film at 11.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's too much of a media narrative, and it's clearly evident because immediately after the race was declared official and he passed post-race tech and the win was declared official, here comes all of the flood back about what happened at Talladega last year, the incident that happened there last year.
Yeah.
And after it was declared, and through one video posted to YouTube of one Rowdy Maglite that confirmed it was there the year before, a garage door pull, which I will call it. I'm not going to call it what it's been called by all the media outlets, which was a noose, which is not a noose. It's clearly a door pull.
It is,
in my opinion.
But let's say this. There aren't a whole lot of people who are 100% familiar with a noose. We have an idea in our head of what
True.
one looks like,
Right.
and there's a pretty good resemblance.
It's a good resemblance, yes. But you have to be...
It's a stretch.
It's a stretch, yeah.
And,
exactly.
And let me add this one thing to it. The person who reported that door pull as a noose was not Bubba Wallace. It was a member of the 43 crew. And remember, he was driving for Richard Petty Motorsports at the time this all was happening.
That is correct.
That was a member of the crew from RPM, Richard Petty Motorsports, that reported that at the time, not Bubba Wallace.
Right. Because drivers were not even allowed in the garage area at that specific time because of all the COVID protocols, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I'm not.
All right.
We're not going down that road. That's another soapbox entirely.
That's not a soapbox. That is actually a soap.
That's a sermon.
Soap ship.
That's a sermon.
Yeah, that's a sermon. That's a 3-hour sermon.
We don't have the time,
No.
and I don't got the energy.
But one media writer, let's call it that, brought it up and was just stretching it out. Well, Jason Whitlock. You don't know who he is, kids, go find him on social media. He makes some very clear-cut, down the middle, no one side to the other points. He gives it straightforward.
Yeah. Former sports writer in Kansas City, now kind of freelance, if I remember correctly.
He works for the Blaze TV.
Okay, thank you.
He gave very, very good credit to Wallace and Wendell Scott for winning their races, respectively, that they won. He gave the straightforward, straight up, no bones about it, well, what happened deal. With some media people thinking it took 57 years for him to get proper credit. No, actually, Wendell Scott got the right credit for his win 2 hours after the race.
Yeah.
I've read that multiple different times.
Yeah.
People stretch it. This probably wouldn't be as big of a deal or being blown up as big as it's blown up if some people in the wing of the media would just do their job and shut up.
Yeah.
And write facts.
Yeah, just report the facts. Don't be sensationalist. It's one of the things, and this is a small thing, but it's something that at the same point in time that I feel like could be big if we allowed it to be.
Yeah.
Just last year we did the U.S. Census. U.S. Census comes around, and it's going to ask you on the short form about half a dozen questions. One of those is your race. Back when I used to do an evening talk show, I came across a situation, and I don't use this word lightly. I use this as a quote.
Yeah.
There were black people that were not marking the word black, but choosing to go other and wrote in the word Negro.
Yeah.
Seems odd, seems unusual.
I heard about that.
But at the same point in time, that's what people were doing, at
Right.
least in the 2010 census. I would assume some of it still happened in the 2020 census. In the 2010 census, I had this burr under my saddle, and I just got ticked off that everybody seemed to be wanting to hyphenate everything.
Yeah.
So I checked other, and I wrote in European American, because the vast majority of my history, or my
Right,
ancestry on
right.
both my mom and my dad's side is mostly European.
Right.
I have a little bit of Native American from my mom's side. Very little, not enough to where I'm going to claim it, Elizabeth Warren.
Pocahontas.
This time around, in 2020, I just got sick with the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And of all the options that were there, I checked other, and I simply wrote in American.
Mm-hmm.
I was born here.
Right.
I was raised here. And as of August 9th, yeah, that's my birthday, I've been on this earth for 53, now a little over 53 years. In my 53 years on this planet, the entirety of the time that I have spent outside of the borders of the United States is less than 2 weeks. And there are some people who are lower than that who may have been on this planet longer than me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of us dividing ourselves by a skin color.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a say-so. God said, that's what you're going to be, and those are going to be your parents. That's it. I didn't have a say in it. That was him, not me. That goes for everybody that's on this planet right now. Give it up.
Amen.
It's overdone.
Bingo.
Judge a person, like Martin Luther King said, based upon the content of their character. The color of their skin doesn't mean a thing.
Bingo.
On to other stuff. Yeah, we're finally going to get into the racing stuff. Chip Ganassi Racing, as we noted last month, filed papers with the state of North Carolina that said over 50 of their employees were going to be out of work the day after the final Cup Series race of the season in Phoenix. Guess what? That's coming sooner rather than later.
It is. It is. It is.
I will say that, though. I will say this, though. This time of the year, if you're a sports fan, and I'm talking about in generality, if you're a sports fan, you're in hog flipping heaven. NHRA, Formula One, and NASCAR in the racing world are all still going on and getting ready to wrap up their seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball is gearing up towards the World Series, and you got college, high school, and pro football all going on. And, oh, yeah, there's that basketball and hockey thing that are in preseason.
Yeah.
There's pretty much every kind of sport you could think of going on right now.
Yep. That it is.
Pretty cool. Either way, Ganassi, as we detailed even earlier on this season, has sold their NASCAR assets, lock, stock, and barrel, all going to Trackhouse Racing. Trackhouse is going to expand from one car this year to two cars in 2022. They're going to go with the 99 of Daniel Suarez as a carryover, and they're going to keep the number 1 from Chip Ganassi Racing, but they're going to take Ross Chastain and put him in that car. He's in the 42 this year. Initially, Trackhouse had not commented on the situation regarding any of Ganassi's employees, but now Trackhouse owner Justin Marks has said that he expects that he will hire many of them to work for him. Told local Charlotte media he plans to have about 100 employees in all at his shop. Now, Ganassi currently has over 120 people in their NASCAR shop, according to their estimates last month that they gave to the state of North Carolina. And Trackhouse is not promising to hire all of them, but since they have a skeleton crew this year that puts the 99 on the track, and most of them are on loan from Richard Childress Racing, it appears that many of the soon-to-be former Ganassi employees are about to get a lifeline from Marks and his operation. I got to say, I like what Justin Marks is doing. I like what Trackhouse Racing is building over there.
He is, and I will argue to anyone, I don't care if you're on a radio station, a television station, or if you're in the infield in the media center at Talladega Superspeedway, as I was last week, off and on.
Sure.
I will argue to anyone that Justin Marks could be the deadliest, in a positive way, the deadliest owner of the future. The way he meticulously builds everything and the way he calculates every move that he makes, he could be the deadliest one.
Deadliest as in most competitive.
Bingo.
Absolutely.
Bingo.
I could easily argue that, and it's a race between him and Cowlick.
It is.
If you look at what those two have been building, they've been building it methodically and building it properly. They haven't bitten off more than they can chew.
No.
They have gone about it in the proper way to make sure that what they have is a solid foundation before they build upon it any further. And both of them are successful.
If you had to compare it if you had to put it in comparison of a door-to-door, side-by-side finish coming to the line at Talladega, neither one of them, in my opinion, has an edge over the other yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
The only reason I might, and this is a very thin might, give Cowling the edge is just simply through experience of the fact that he has been there and done that for a number of years now in the Xfinity Series, and he's dipped his toe on a number of occasions into the Cup Series.
And he's got the veteran Chris Rice as his team president helping him build that team. And Chris Rice has been around the series for years.
Yeah.
And years and years.
But the experience of Chris Rice is about equaled by Justin Marks. It's neck and neck.
But
it really is. These two operations, these are going to be two operations to watch for in the coming years.
But having that affiliation, technical affiliation, I would say, that Trackhouse would probably assume with Hendrick, just like Ganassi had with Hendrick.
Oh, yeah.
And Colleague has with RCR.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Trackhouse coming up next year straight up outrunning Hendrick.
No. But
it's going to look real funny when Cowling is outrunning RCR next year, which he already has been doing.
I was about to say he's pretty much already doing
He's
that.
already doing it now.
Yeah. And one more note in the Cup Series, and this is a test balloon that should worry you if you are not a person who is prone to doing a whole lot of streaming.
And leave it to NBC.
NBC
Anyway.
Sports is flying the test balloon with 3 of the upcoming Cup Series playoff races. Those 3 in question are Texas, Martinsville, and Phoenix. All of them will be shown on the main network of NBC, so don't worry about that. But they're also going to get coverage on the streaming Peacock service, because I can guarantee you they want to find out how many people are going to watch it there. They're going to watch the numbers. As for pre- and post-race coverage, that'll also air on Peacock, with no official word from NBC Sports as to how much or whether they will air on NBC as well. I would imagine pre-race will, depending on what time they get to post-race, any amount or all of it could be shunted from what had been NBC Sports network, the cable network that's about to die, to Peacock totally. And you might not get any of it.
Nope.
Your microphone, there you go.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if they're going to require a subscription to watch all this, because they do have a subscription service.
Yeah.
Peacock.
And a lot of their stuff, though, you can stream for free, because I use Peacock at the house.
Okay.
And
But you're limited on what you can watch, I take it?
yeah, all the live
Okay.
stuff you got to pay for.
Ah, all the live stuff
Yeah.
you've got to pay for.
Yeah.
I'm saying watch it. It's, I hate to say it, but I think it's coming. And it's coming all too soon.
Yeah.
Oh, good grief. Down to the Xfinity Series, where Big Machine Racing has had a decent debut to this point in 2021. Jay Buford is the driver of the number 48 Chevrolet Camaro, and since they have liked what they have seen so far, Big Machine Racing is set to return. Full-time in 2022, they're going to keep Jay Buford as their driver, and they are aligning with Richard Childress Racing.
Shocker.
The deal's set to provide Big Machine Racing with chassis and engineering support, and probably more. The team will continue to use the ECR, Earnhardt Childress Racing engines, but they will remain an oddity in today's NASCAR, which is a single-car operation, at least for now. How long that'll be that way, I don't know, because in addition to all that, the team is actually moving. They're going to join Richard Childress Racing on the RCR campus in Welcome, North Carolina, after having had their operations based in Mooresville this season. This marks the second team that RCR will be assisting in Xfinity Series competition, along with the aforementioned Cowlick Racing. Now, I'm not going to say that Big Machine Racing is going to begin to outperform Richard Childress Racing, but it's a nice start for Big Machine Racing.
It's a good uptick for sure. But in regards to second car for him, with the man stroking the checks that owns the team, better known as Scott Borchetta, the president and owner of Big Machine Records,
Yeah, Big
arguably
Machine Racing, Big Machine Records.
climbing up into being one of the largest record companies in the United States, if not
Yeah.
the world. Yeah, I could see that happening.
Big Machine Records has Big Machine Racing and Big Machine Vodka. Let's just say that Scott has got himself a nice little Big Machine empire. He'll be around for a little while. He's not going anywhere anytime too soon.
Big Machine Records and the Big Machine brand, let's say that,
There you go.
is growing just as fast as, if not just a little bit faster than the Leaf Filter brand. The Leaf Filter brand is owned by none other than Matt Collick.
Exactly. Well, we know that one person and one team is back. Unfortunately, one car will continue without the driver who started in it this year. We'll tell you all about that when we come back. You are listening to CRN.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network.
To celebrate State Farm's surprisingly great rates, we gave this song surprisingly great lyrics.
Hey neighbors, when you claim
We're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
All right, so as we left you, we were talking about Big Machine Racing set to return. Jade Buford going to return as well in 2022 full-time and aligning with Richard Childress Racing. That being said, over at Junior Motorsports, silly season is underway because one driver, and we called this.
I want to put this in the I saw this coming from a mile away department.
You and I both did. And this is sad news as well because
True. It is.
It involves Michael Annette and his retirement. Annette is the longtime driver of the number one Camaro, but is set to retire officially at the end of the season. Thing about it is we haven't heard much from Annette lately because of an injury that sidelined him back in July. He suffered a stress fracture. He'd had surgery for it then, but re-injured the leg while he was working out last month, so he hasn't raced since Richmond, and he's only raced that one race since he's been sidelined back in July. In Richmond, he finished 22nd. Annette currently sits 17th in NASCAR standings, but that doesn't tell the entire story. See, before the injury, Annette was more than a threat to be able to make the playoffs. Unfortunately. In his time in the series, starting back in 2009, he does have only one win. That was the 2019 season opener in Daytona, and that's over 430 starts. But he was thought of well enough to get 430 starts. Mm-hmm. Annette is now 35. He released a statement that said, in part, quote, "I'm just so grateful for the opportunities I've had Being able to drive race cars for a living is honestly a dream come true for me. It's been a privilege to work with some great teams and alongside some of the most talented folks in the garage. He added that it was the relationships, both on track and with his sponsors, that made it all possible and worthwhile, and the most rewarding to him. We wish you all the best, Michael Annette. And no, Junior Motorsports is not announced yet who'll take over the number one.
I think the way that the shift is going to happen,
Yes.
Allgaier will stay in the 7.
Yes.
Josh Berry is going to go to the 8.
Right.
Gregson will stay in the 9.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably going to see Sam Mayer go to the 1.
I could see that easily.
They'll
Because
they'll stay 4 cars.
if you look at what Sam Mayer has done in the ARCA Menard series and in splitting time with our very own backyard hero, Brett Holmes, in the Camping World Truck Series, he has more than acquitted himself. And he's gotten a couple of races this year, correct me if I'm wrong, with Junior Motorsports. Didn't he? And he did pretty well there, too.
Who's Sam?
Sam?
Yeah, he's still in the car. He's still in the
Well, I
car.
mean, he hasn't been full-time this year, though. He's been in and out of the car.
He started in July.
Yeah. So he's been kind of in and out of the car.
Yeah.
And he's acquitted himself very, very nicely. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if he ends up being in that car. Not at all.
No.
So
The question is, does Pilot Flying J and TMC Travels stay with him?
Pilot Flying J, I could see. TMC is pretty closely aligned with the Annette family, so I'm kind of
True.
doubting it.
I don't know.
But
We'll
it
see.
depends on how good their relationship is with Junior Motorsports.
True.
I do have an in with some people. I know a couple of people at TMC.
I've heard that you do.
I might have to check with them and see if I can get any inside info. Let's head over to the Camping World Truck Series, where Hattori Racing has revealed that they are now in search of a driver. I got one. They and Austin Hill are going their separate ways at the end of the year. The team said in their statement that they are proud of all that they've accomplished with Hill as their driver and added that they're now in the process of going through the process of finding their next driver. It is a process. As for Hill, he posted on social media, quote, "It's been a fun ride. We still have some business to take care of, and I hope we can finish the season out strong. Everyone at Hattori Racing has become family over the years, and making this decision wasn't easy, but I'm very excited for what the future holds. Stay tuned." So he's not talking, and neither is Hattori Racing.
I think he's going to Xfinity. Where he's going, I don't know, but I think he's going to Xfinity.
What might be open? Would he move into the Ford camp?
Well, I'm going to say there are a couple of Gibbs cars that are unannounced.
Well, that's true. And he's already in the Toyota camp.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I guess we'll see. Time will tell.
True.
For both Hattori Racing and for Austin Hill.
True.
And then there's this one. Some people say they know exactly what happened. Others don't. I'm not going to speculate. We'll just say that NASCAR did not detail why, but saying that he violated their rules related to behavior as detailed in Section 12.8.1.c. Yes, it gets that detailed in the NASCAR rulebook. NASCAR has suspended Young's Motorsports crew chief Eddie Traconis indefinitely. They didn't detail exactly what happened, but that section of the rulebook refers to physical confrontations with a NASCAR official, media members and/or fans, member-to-member confrontations, attempting to manipulate a race's outcome, or intentionally wrecking another vehicle. I'll let you take it from there.
He decked a judge?
No, I don't think so.
Not that I saw.
Not that I saw either. But, and this is pure suspicion. Let me put that very, very clearly. Eddie Traconis is married to one Jennifer Jo Cobb.
Ah.
Who was at the center of one of the, actually the big crash at Talladega Saturday? Jennifer Jo Cobb, because she came through literally like a wrecking ball. Parker Kligerman ripped her in half because the wreck was going on for at least 15 seconds.
Oh, gosh, yes.
At least
I remember this
15
wreck.
seconds. Here she comes, just shoo, wide open, straight through the middle.
Like a bowling ball knocking down the
Slows down. First truck she hits, Parker Kligerman. Parker Kligerman could have continued the race if he didn't. Jennifer Jo Cobb did not hit him.
The only thing NASCAR did say about the suspension is that it had nothing to do with an on-track incident involving the 02 Silverado, the truck he crew chiefed. Chaconis, again, is a veteran crew chief in the series. He's called 142 races over 9 years. 2 wins, both coming back when he was with Thorsport Racing, when he called the shots for Ben Rhodes. In the 02 for Young's Motorsports, the driver is Chris Wright. Again, they said that it had nothing to do with an on-track incident involving the 02. As for another truck or 15, we'll leave that up to you.
Yeah. I wanna. Here we go. I want to pull this up and read and just give John an example of how bad he was ripping her in half.
Oh, okay.
Let's see here.
I haven't heard some of this.
Oh.
Some of it I have, some of it I haven't.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't.
Here it is.
I didn't. You're right.
Come on. Where is it? Where are you? Come on.
Live
No, you're
radio,
here.
ladies.
Where is Waldo?
I know.
Here we go.
We don't know.
Parker Kligerman's tweet after the race. Let's play a game. What things can you accomplish in 18 seconds? Chug beers. Write a tweet. Spark an idea for the next billion-dollar company.
Maybe.
Or drive your truck through a crash at Talladega that's been going on for 18 seconds. And the track is nearly totally blocked.
It did bring out a red flag.
It did.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but could not some of the blame be on her spotter?
She did not have her original spotter, Clayton Hughes, because Clayton Hughes was out sick.
As I said, could not some of the blame be on her spotter?
But how do you
Maybe.
not say off the gas, back it down?
That's what I'm saying.
Or
What if
quite
he didn't
frankly,
say that?
what is it that you're looking at that tells you, oh my gosh,
know?
am I not catching up to the field this quickly?
No.
And I need to back
You
up.
don't know. But how can you
So-
not go full-blown? Somebody's going Harry Hog. You can drive through it.
Right.
That's exactly what that was.
That's what
no,
I'm saying.
you can't.
That's what I'm saying. if her spotter says take the hot line and go straight, you can get through it.
Here's the kicker.
And she does, and she doesn't.
Right.
She took the low line driving through the grass and didn't get through it.
Just saying. You know, looking in, you could say it was all her, but I'm on the outside going, it may not have been all her.
I see where you're going with this, but this is my problem. If you cannot physically see out of the windshield that is almost as big as this window behind you, you've got a problem.
Stop.
Brakes, truck into neutral, slow it down, keep your engine revving, let the crash stop, then put it back into gear, drive all the way through there.
Yeah.
And I agree, but just saying.
That's simple.
And then let's get into a little more serious situation here.
Yeah, this one was a
Sunday morning is when we really started to hear about this. Correct?
it was actually
Was it Saturday evening?
Sunday afternoon.
Sunday afternoon, okay.
This is the reaction you would have. It'd be, what the heck?
Yeah. And as it turned out, this guy was a little bit more troubled than what most people realized.
Right.
Former Xfinity Series Truck Series driver John West Townley was shot and killed over the last weekend in Dunwoody, Georgia. According to authorities, Townley was shot in a dispute that involved his now estranged wife, another man, and a hatchet. The Athens Clark County, Georgia Police Department noted that the man who allegedly shot and killed Townley, I have to say allegedly because he hasn't been charged with a thing, is identified as one 32-year-old Zachary Anderson. Again, no charges have been filed in the case because police are investigating this as a possible self-defense shooting. I refer you back to the hatchet.
Mm-hmm.
At the time of this show, it is not known if Laura Townley and John West Townley were still married or not. A couple of reports stated that their divorce had been granted less than a week before. Others said that the divorce had not yet been granted.
I had read that the divorce was final.
Okay. But again,
Just had one
varying
final.
reports on this, so I'm just letting you know that.
Right.
Authorities are not detailing the relationship between Laura Townley and Anderson leading up to this pretty sad incident. What we do know is this. Last Saturday evening, John West Townley showed up at a house where Laura and Zachary were, and at the time he was shot, John West Townley was wielding a hatchet. As to where he got said hatchet, it is not known as to whether he brought it with him or found it at the house where his wife and Anderson were, or now ex-wife. As for his history, Townley was born December 31st, 1989, Watkinsville, Georgia, the son and the founder of the Zaxby's restaurant chain founder, Tony Townley. John West, however, wanted to race. He ran ASA before he joined NASCAR in 2008. He ran 3 races for Rab Racing, not finishing in any one of them. That year, he was also in 7 Truck Series races where he showed some flashes of talent, best finish of 18th at the Milwaukee Mile, matched it later on in the year in Talladega. He would continue to race NASCAR part-time before going full-time finally with Rab Racing in 2012. He was going for Rookie of the Year in the Truck Series that year. He didn't get it. A DUI incident before that season started saw him be suspended by both Rab Racing and be put on a 1-year-long probation by NASCAR. But he did return to racing by the end of March. He would race several times in Xfinity and even attempted to qualify for the Cup Series race at Pocono that year. Yeah, he crashed during practice and was pulled from the car. For 2013, he moved over to Red Horse Racing and then to Waters Motorsports in 2014 before then joining the brand new Athenian Motorsports. Midway through that year, it was a team that was actually started by his father. The team would continue on through the 2016 season, but Townley was missing races due to concussions and was fined for an on-track altercation with another driver. So that off-season, Townley announced he was done with racing and Athenian Motorsports shut down. Mm-hmm. He and Laura Bird got engaged in 2016 and, according to public record, was charged with 3 misdemeanor counts in 2019 involving a domestic dispute. One charge claimed that Townley threw his wife to the floor, among other things. He pled guilty at that time to disorderly conduct. He was given a 1-year probation. It is known that in February, John West had filed for divorce. Again, reports stating that it was granted just last week, but other reports said that they didn't know. In 187 races across NASCAR's top 3 divisions, Townley claimed only 1 win, 2015, Las Vegas. But he had 2 poles and 24 top 10 results in the Truck Series. No wins, no top 10s in Xfinity competition, and as I mentioned, for that Cup Series race in Pocono in 2012, he slammed the wall in the tunnel turn during a practice session. He was pulled from the car in favor of Jason White, who raced it. The investigation continues, but the result is his death. John West Townley, troubled as he was 31 years old. I remember very well John West Townley.
Yep.
I remember thinking to myself that knowing his relationship as far as Zaxby's was concerned, that the Zaxby's brand, and I hate to pour salt in an open wound, so to speak, but that Zaxby's deserved a better driver. Because it kind of goes back to the Jennifer Jo Cobb thing. John West Townley always caught me as trying to be the bowling ball, going for a strike every time he could.
And he would hit the gutter.
About every time.
Every time. I mean, he even had, at one point, at the time, a nationwide series ride with RCR.
Yeah, and blew that apart.
Yeah, because he was crashing so many cars that Richard Childress said, I can't do this. We got to part ways.
Midway through the season. Boom. See ya.
After race 7.
Yeah, that's true. I say midway.
After race 7. But
I don't wish this on anybody. Don't get me wrong.
True. You don't wish this on anybody.
No. What happened to
None
John
whatsoever.
West Townley should never have happened to anyone.
But misdemeanor counts, domestic dispute,
DUI.
charge claiming, DUI, stuff like that.
John West Townley was a troubled kid.
There was some dark demons lurking.
Yeah.
Let's word it that way.
Yeah. Unfortunate, but true.
This is going to sound crazy, but you got to think about the parts of it here. If you walk into somebody's house
Wielding a hatchet. I'm not going to speak for John or Matt, but I can tell you what was going to happen if somebody walked into my house wielding a hatchet.
Same here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're, in a simple, short phrase, you're asking for it.
Yep. Yeah.
You're asking for
if you're anywhere in the southeastern United States and you walk into somebody's house wielding a hatchet, this is... Yeah, the odds are better than even that this is going to happen.
It was an unfortunate circumstance all the way around. Fortunately, Laura's going to survive her injuries. Thankfully. But when I started overhearing the chatter about it through media members at the track, and I heard the scenario that happened, the first 3 words that come into my mind, and the state of Alabama has the same law: stand your ground.
Absolutely. Castle doctrine.
Bingo.
Yeah, as long as he falls inside the house, I'm cool with it.
Well, there's that. Yep. Again, John West Townley, gone all too fast, age of 31.
Yep.
When we come back, some slightly better news. Hall of Fame news, as a matter of fact, in both the motorsports world in general and the NHRA. We got some IndyCar silly season news to talk about, and we'll get into Formula One. Qualifying's over. We'll tell you all about that. When we come back, we still got a pretty good ways to go right here on CRN.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right back. Tires only, and back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome back in. I'm Steve West with Matt Nicholson and John Myers here on CRN. Portions of this show being brought to you by Ox Foundation Solutions. We just got done talking about John West Townley losing his life last weekend at the age of 31. On a better note, Matt and I are members. We must go ahead and divulge that. But the National Motorsports Press Association has announced their 2022 Hall of Fame class. Did you vote on this?
Yeah, I did.
I want to say I did. I did not vote for one of them. I did vote for Dan Gurney. More than deserving. Mm-hmm. Dan Gurney, driver's driver, raced in several different series. Actually is the first driver to claim a win in 4 major motorsports. Get these: Formula One, NASCAR, Indycar, and international sports cars.
Man, that boy could drive.
Oh, yeah. And it didn't matter what you put him in.
Nope.
The other guy is Herb Nabb. That name may not sound familiar to you unless you are very familiar with 1970s NASCAR.
Yep.
That guy right over there, we call him Rain Man for a reason. He probably knows a good bit about Herb Nabb.
I've heard of the guy.
We'll give you a little bit on him. He guided several well-known drivers to wins, names like Fred Lorenzen, Junior Johnson, Bobby Allison, Buddy Baker. That's a who's who right there. But he also might be best known for helping lead one Cale Yarborough to second-place points finishes in 1973 and 1974 before getting 2 straight Cup Series titles in 1976 and 1977. Mm-hmm. In all, he led his drivers to 74 wins and 64 pole positions. And finally, the third member of the 2022 class is Richard Howard. He is pretty well renowned as the man who saved Charlotte Motor Speedway. Yep, at one point in time back in the early 1960s, Charlotte Motor Speedway was in danger of going into bankruptcy. You think about that for a minute. We think of Charlotte, North Carolina as the hub of the NASCAR racing world. Mm-hmm. In the early 1960s, Charlotte Motor Speedway was in danger of going bankrupt.
That's crazy.
Howard, a local furniture salesman, saw that, stepped in, kept the track going. He improved fan amenities. He would come up with some pretty unusual promotions. Now we kind of know where Humpy Wheeler got his inspiration. And all while working with the state to make it a little bit easier, infrastructure-wise, to get in and out of the track. In the 1970s, he was also a part owner of Junior Johnson's race team, and during that time, that team won 21 times. So Richard Howard goes in. They will be inducted in a ceremony at the Hendrick Motorsports Complex on January 23rd. Because of COVID, the 2021 inductees didn't officially get inducted, so they're going to be honored as well. Those two are Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Steve Kinzer. I'm not sure we're going to be able to make it, but we did when Tony Stewart went. It was a lot of fun, and we met a lot of really good people.
January 23rd. It's going to be close.
Might be something we have to think about again.
Yep.
Just saying. It was a lot of fun. It really was. Most of our listeners know that several motorsports-related halls of fame, including the International Motorsports Hall of Fame on the grounds of Talladega Superspeedway, and, of course, the NASCAR Hall of Fame in downtown Charlotte. What you might not know, and this is NHRA-related, is that North Carolina, in addition to having the NASCAR Hall of Fame, also has the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
I did.
Of course you did.
I drove by.
Shocking.
Just saying.
Like most halls of fame, they did not hold official induction ceremonies for the 2020 or 2021 class, however you wish to look at it, because of COVID. So they recently inducted 2 classes. This induction ceremony included, most notably, NHRA Pro Stock driver Greg Anderson. Anderson was originally slated to go in with the 2020 class, along with a guy you've probably heard of in NASCAR terms, Bobby Labonte.
Mm-hmm.
They went in officially October the 5th. 2021 inductees are Rex White and the late Alan Kulwicki. How did it take Alan Kulwicki this long to get into the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Anyway, the official ceremony was held in downtown Mooresville. Anderson's bona fides, if you will, 97 wins, has him tops among current Pro Stock Division drivers, and he's currently timed with the all-time winningest driver with 97, so one more win, which could happen this weekend in Texas, and he is the all-time winningest driver in Pro Stock Car Division history. I'd say that's fairly deserving of being in a Hall of Fame or two. Congratulations.
Absolutely.
Then there's Andretti Autosport. Kind of like the 23-11, or depending on what sports writer or sportscaster you are, 23x1 racing.
Mm-hmm.
Andretti Autosport is going to be something we're going to be talking about pretty much for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
First of all, an IndyCar situation, they have a decision to make because one of their development drivers is a kid by the name of Kyle Kirkwood. He's all of 22 years old, and he is in line to potentially win the 2021 Indy Lights title. Should he get that, he nabs a $1.3 million advancement prize that is going to be or should be used to run select races in IndyCar in 2022. Effectively, it buys him a ride or 2 or 3. Thing is, Michael Andretti has yet to finalize his 2022 IndyCar Series lineup, but he also has a seat open over in Formula E.
Mm-hmm.
He better make up his mind pretty soon about what to do with one Kyle Kirkwood, because one thing is certain, he's going to get a ride in IndyCar pretty quick because several other IndyCar teams have expressed interest in Kirkwood. So Michael Andretti admits he's going to be scrambling to try and find a way to keep Kirkwood in the Andretti stable until he feels that the young driver is ready for the step up. Is he not already? I don't know. His quick rise up to the road to IndyCar ladder has him claiming numerous wins in every single step along the way. So Andretti is not ruling out Kirkwood in one of his IndyCar rides in 2022. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Another driver seeking a ride next year is, somewhat surprisingly, 2-time Indy 500 winner Takuma Sato. Sato is officially out at Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. As for his prospects for a 2022 ride, Sato says at this time those odds are about 50-50. He said that on Monday, telling Racer.com also, quote, "It is tricky not knowing, but I've been here before. A couple of years ago it was also like this, so it's a difficult situation, but I'll never give up." Rahal Letterman Lanigan confirmed he would not be back in that car as of 2022. Sato's 44.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't stop anyone because Sato seems to be doing quite nicely. Again, I refer to you as two-time Indy 500 winner, that most recent one in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't look to be slowing down.
No.
I think he could get a ride.
Talking about rides, through his social media, Jack Harvey put the teaser out. He's announcing on the 11th where he's going.
Oh, okay.
Suspicion, that's the word of the day, suspicion, is that he is probably going to that second Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan car.
I've heard those links as well.
Yep.
Should be interesting to see. And on Wednesday, the two 2021 IndyCar Rookie of the Year contenders that actually did not run the 2021 Indy 500 took to the hallowed grounds of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway to officially take their rookie test. Both Romain Grosjean and Jimmy Johnson plan to run the 2022 Indy 500. Rain, sound familiar, Talladega fans? Rain shortened the test, but according to IndyCar officials, both drivers acquitted themselves well enough that they have been determined to have officially passed the test. Johnson said he was in his familiar number 48 Chip Ganassi racing ride, while Grosjean was already in his new car, the number 28 Andretti Autosport racer. The pair, while again having been determined to officially have passed the test, will finish out their official rookie test qualifications when the series returns to the track next May.
Man, if they're going to start ROP testing in October, I can go.
Sure, why not? Sounds like fun.
Let's go.
All right, let's head over to Formula One here, and that brings us back to Matt, who has the official word on what happened in qualifying.
Yes, we do. Let me get to where the photo of the actual full lineup is. Because
well, we do know this is the guy that qualified the fastest ain't starting on the pole.
Negative, Ghost Rider. Here we go. Qualifying classifications. The official classification per the rundown. 10th, you had Yuki Tsunoda. 9th was Lance Stroll. 8th was Lando Norris. Sergio Perez was 7th. Fernando Alonso 6th. Pierre Gasly 5th. Charles Leclerc 4th. Max Verstappen 3rd. Valtteri Bottas 2nd. Lewis Hamilton qualified quickest, but he will not start there due to a 10-place grid penalty due to the internal combustion components of the engine being changed. You should have just changed the whole engine, Toto Wolff.
Should have.
So that's going to roll him back to 10th. So Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen will have the front row.
Okay. Just to be curious, the two drivers that I am interested in, George Russell from Williams, I should say.
George Russell, P13.
Okay. And the Haas F1 guy that actually made it to Q2, Mick Schumacher.
That would be P14 because Carlos Sainz did not take time in Q2, which would put him 15th.
Hey, he wasn't last.
Nope. He was not.
Nikita Mazepin.
There is a 6 second time gap between P1 and P20.
Ouch. What was the time difference between P1 and P19?
The time difference between P1 and P19 was 5 seconds.
Mazepin's a second slower than the next slowest car.
Listen, here we go. 17th, 126.08.
Okay.
18th, 126.43. 19th, 127.52.
Ow.
20th, 128.45.
I don't have anywhere else to go with that.
That C-Max could run faster than Nikita Mazepin in the Haas.
And probably not spin as much.
True. Very, very true.
He does have some kick butt acceleration, I'll tell you that.
As for Formula One, while they haven't yet revealed or made it official, according to Formula One President and CEO Stefano Domenicali, there are plans to run a record. Why does this number keep popping up today? 23 races in 2022, not 23 by one.
I was about to say something. 23 by one?
23-11.
23 times one more race?
Yeah, 23 races in 2022. That is one more than the 2021 season. Domenicali said, quote, I can anticipate that for sure the calendar will be done with 23 races. Of course, we will be very respectful toward the COVID regulations issued around the world from different governments.
Which are
but
all
that is
falling away.
Exactly. But that is our aim, that F1 can give this sign of hope and go to normal things to enjoy. Thank you.
They've already got 22. Where's the 23rd race coming from?
Oh, but wait, there's more.
Okay.
The full schedule is expected to be released later this month. We do know one date officially. That is the inaugural Miami Grand Prix, May 6th through the 8th. Plans to end the 2022 season will be mid-November. That's the earliest finish for Formula One in about a decade, a season that will begin in mid-March. The sprint race experiment that they've been doing this year, as for them, 3 races will have them this year. Britain and Italy have already done it. Brazil is coming up. Next year, Domenicali foresees 7 or 8 races getting those sprint races, with qualifying on Saturday, sprint races on Saturday, and then running the race itself on Sunday. Domenicali added about the sprint races that they have been a success. Okay. The vast majority of the comments we've received were super positive, he said. Promoters are super happy because there is something new and important on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. I can say we will not go everywhere with the sprint format. It's something we want to keep for 1/3 of the races, more or less. So we got Miami coming in. That's a second U.S. Grand Prix because I can guarantee you they're not turning Texas over just to have Miami.
No.
There's a reason Miami is in May. Texas will be in October or early November. Last week, the two of you mentioned another one, going to Qatar. That's next year on a 1-year, well, that's this year on a 1-year deal. They'll skip next year,
2023.
and then in 2023, they'll begin a 10-year contract. So Qatar's not next year, but I can guarantee you there's going to be a race that will be a, shall we say, placeholder for where Qatar will end up.
Is Qatar also known as Qatar?
Yes, them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Officially, there's Qatar. So you've got your regulars. Turkey kind of shows up on and off. They could be a placeholder. Portugal could be a placeholder. We've seen them come in over the last couple of years because of COVID.
How about we take F1 to a grade 2 track in Alabama? Let's try that.
Wouldn't bother me a bit.
No.
3 races in the U.S.? I don't know whether that's going to happen or not. And then there's that whole rookie rule thing that we got going on. And this brings us back to Haas F1. They have no official driver development program themselves. So they're kind of working up, trying to figure out what it is they're going to do for that new 2022 rule about giving a rookie driver at least, over the course of the full season, 3 FP1 practice session rides. 2021, they started off with 2 rookie drivers, Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin. So they were thinking early this week about giving somebody with a little more experience a chance to run their tests. As to who, team boss Gunther Steiner didn't say, said that decision will be made after this season is done. He said basically he's in no hurry to do it. Why? He said because the relative youth and inexperience of Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin, he's trying to find someone a little bit more seasoned in racing terms to come in and maybe help mentor them, maybe give insight into the 2022 racer as well. When this came out, this makes me wonder whether Formula One or FIA officials called him up and said, hey, listen, we think you're not seeing what it is that we're trying for. We're not trying for experienced drivers. We're trying for inexperienced drivers. Because later on in the week, Steiner added that their Ferrari partnership might end up resulting in them putting a Ferrari development driver, or 2 or 3, behind the wheel of a 2022 Haas F1 car instead. I think that's what's probably going to end up happening. I mean, if you think about it, Schumacher was a Ferrari development driver anyway. And how did he get his F1 ride? He goes over to Haas F1. Not going to shock me at all if we find out that the drivers that Haas F1 puts in that car come from the Ferrari development driver program.
True. Very, very true.
In fact, I can almost guarantee it.
Yeah.
Then there's Alpine. Alpine is also thinking about 2022. They've already locked down Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon for their F1 cars next season. They say that they are looking at their driver development program to try and figure out who they're going to put in the car. One of those drivers is a Chinese native by the name of Guanju Zhu. Most feel, however, he is a leading candidate to lock down an F1 seat for next year with Alfa Romeo. More on them in a minute. So who's next? How about Formula 2 racer Oscar Piastri, who actually leads Zhou in the F2 points to this point? Nobody from Alpine, including Marcin Budkowski, is talking indefinites, but he did indicate that Piastri is the biggest fish in their pond of potential drivers to get that practice time next year. Zhou in a Alfa Romeo car would make for an interesting return to China for F1 next year.
That it would. That it would.
What we do know is this. As for Alfa and potentially naming that 2022 driver that will end up, yes, pairing with Valtteri Bottas, he said they're in no hurry to make things official. Alfa Romeo team principal Fred Vasseur was asked about it when they arrived in Turkey on Thursday for this weekend's racing action and said, quote, "We're not in a rush to take a decision, but we have a couple of options on the table and we have time to decide. The situation won't change over the next couple of days. We will make a decision soon." There's a reason why they may be
Stalling
or being a little more patient, shall we say, with this decision. Because when they come to the United States, there's some interesting talks that are about to take place. We'll detail that in a moment. But first things first, I want to talk about our good friends and sponsors of this program, Ox Foundation Solutions, and our good friend Michael Hart. If you got any question about your house and whether or not it's got a foundation problem, you need to call or email Michael and find out for sure. Get the peace of mind. I mean, even if he comes out, if you're anywhere in the state of Alabama, and I literally mean that, from Tennessee to the Gulf Coast, from Mississippi to Georgia, wherever you are in the state of Alabama, Michael Hart will come, take a look at your house, and let you know at no cost to you if there's anything wrong. Give him a call. Set up the appointment now. What are you waiting for? 205-362-6419 or email him at mike@oxfoundations.com. He'll come out. He'll take a look at the house, outside, inside, and under. And he'll come to you after he's done with a written foundation assessment that is, again, no cost and no obligation to you. Why wouldn't you do it? I would. I have. I know Michael. He's checked out my old house. He's checked out my new house. Why don't you do it? Again, if you got a problem and you have any suspicion that you do and you just leave it alone, number one, it's not going away, and number two, it's only going to get worse, which means more expensive. Find out for sure. If you happen to have a problem, you mention the promo code WEST, W-E-S-T, and that you heard about it right here on CRN, you get 15% off of that repair estimate cost. Set it up. 205-362-6419 or mike@oxfoundations.com. Mention that promo code WEST if you need to for 15% off and tell him you heard about it right here on CRN.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network. fuel only. Go, go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
Hey, welcome in. Final segment of today's CRN. Wow, we've already gotten there. I'm Steve West with Matt Nicholson and John Myers, and we were talking about Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo has Valtteri Bottas signed. That's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if Valtteri Bottas is available and you can get him, I don't care what team you are.
Get him.
Get him. That other seat is a question mark.
Mm-hmm.
Kimi Räikkönen's retiring. He's not an option. Antonio Giovinazzi, according to Alfa Romeo officials, is still an option, but isn't a definite. And we just talked about last segment a young Chinese driver by the name of Guanju Zhu, who is an up-and-coming driver who may get that slot. But as we just talked about, Alfa Romeo team principal Fred Vasseur said that they're in no particular hurry to name a driver.
Mm-hmm.
And you think, well, they're just, trying to cover all their bases and make sure they got all the I's dotted and T's crossed. Well, yeah, but it may be making sure that the I's are dotted and T's are crossed on a sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Alfa Romeo and Michael Andretti are being connected. We mentioned a couple of months ago that Michael Andretti, who's already very highly involved, as we've noted, in IndyCar and Formula E, is interested in maybe getting into Formula One. His focus has turned onto Alfa and Sauber. Sauber is the official name of the team. They've just got the sponsorship name and sold them to Alfa Romeo.
Yep.
Andretti had tentative initial talks and unsuccessful ones about buying in or buying out Haas F1 and Williams. Didn't go anywhere. Still very interested. Turned to Sauber and Alfa Romeo. And according to Racer.com, they're reporting that more formal talks are slated when Formula One comes to race in the United States Grand Prix at Texas, with Andretti reported to have secured at least a portion of the required funding to buy the team through his Andretti Acquisitions Corporation, a company he launched earlier this year. The goal was to raise $250 million through initial stock offerings, hoping to take advantage of the rise in the interest in Formula One in the United States. Now think about it. Formula One over the last few years has taken a sharp increase in the motorsports population here in the U.S. Haas F1 is not the only U.S.-based interest in Formula One. Liberty Media is a U.S.-based company, and they own F1's commercial rights. Plus, you got the United States Grand Prix in Austin, Texas, which, as we just noted last segment, is set to be joined officially by a second U.S.-based race in Miami in May of 2022. And then there's another crossover. You might remember that McLaren, well known in Formula One, despite the fact that Daniel Ricciardo stubbed his toe badly in qualifying, also has now majority interest in an IndyCar operation. So there's a lot of crossover. And over the last 3-4 seasons, we've noted an increase overall in the television viewership of all motorsports series, Formula One most notable.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, this would be taking advantage of something here, and now all of a sudden we've got the potential of having two U.S.-based, or U.S.-owned, if you will, teams in Formula One.
It seems like it's getting more real and real by the hour of every day.
Yeah, because this report from Racer.com came out yesterday. There's more today.
Yeah, and if it's shared and retweeted to Twitter by one Adam Stern,
it's pretty solid.
It's pretty solid and got some validity to it. It came from the motorsport.com Formula One division. Let me stress that real clearly.
They are also pretty reputable.
In F1 for sure.
Yeah.
Now
maybe
they
not so much in NASCAR. But that's
there we go. There we go. You took the words out of my mouth. But by Jonathan Noble, it was put out at 3:40 a.m. this morning. So that tells me
that's
he
U.S.
wrote it.
time.
That's U.S. time. Andretti is closing in on a deal to take over Alfa Romeo F1. This is straight from his article.
Okay.
Following weeks of speculation about the United States organization looking at F1 opportunities, insiders with good knowledge of the situation say negotiations with Alfa Romeo's owners are now at a very advanced stage. with its owner, former Formula F1 driver Michael Andretti, eager to add a Grand Prix team to his portfolio. There are suggestions that the takeover could be approved in a matter of weeks. However, it is understood that there is no final decision yet has been taken by the Islero Investments Company that is the current owner of the Alfa Romeo team following the Swiss squad's takeover by the Swedish investment firm Longbow Finance in 2016.
Yeah.
Should the go-ahead be given, it will then see Andretti Autosport add another series to its current activities, which includes IndyCar, Indy Lights, IMSA, Formula E, Australian Supercars, and Extreme E. The Alfa Romeo team has declined to comment on the current situation, and team principal Fred Vasseur made it clear at the Turkish Grand Prix that any discussions about the ownership of the squad were nothing that he would be involved with personally. I can say nothing because it's honestly not in my parameter, he said. I am the CEO and team principal, and these kind of discussions are not with me. It would be with the shareholders.
It's above his pay grade.
We have so many rumors, and that you could have to question so many rumors and so on that you would have to question to the shareholders of the company.
Yeah.
Sources have suggested that Andretti has become attracted to F1 because of the move towards a new rules era from 2022 and beyond, with a more level playing field between the teams and the ongoing possibility of cooperation between manufacturers and customer squads.
I could see that.
While Andretti had expressed interest in the past about joining F1 only if he could run a customer car, the implications of a cost cap area that Liberty Media has helped introduce has given him reason to feel that there are good opportunities to jump in now. Alfa Romeo has close ties with Ferrari and recently extended a long-term partnership with Alfa Romeo for that relationship to continue, giving the team a fair deal of security for the next few years. Any deal for Andretti to take a charge of Alfa Romeo would also open up the door for IndyCar frontrunner Colton Herta to potentially make a move to F1 in the longer term should he acquire enough F1 super license points.
And he's not all that far off, considering
No.
what he's done over the last couple of years in IndyCar.
Yep.
He gets, correct me if I'm wrong, he needs 30 super license points to gain an F1 license. 20 of those if you get an IndyCar championship, which he hasn't. But based upon his points finishes, he's probably fairly close. So thanks to Jonathan Noble from motorsport.com.
Yeah, motorsport.com, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where it came from.
Thanks to him for that reporting. That's very timely when you think about it. And you know, he mentioned the fact that Andretti wanted a customer car. He didn't want to have to come in and try and build something up from scratch, you know, which is why he was probably very interested in Haas F1, truth be told, because Haas F1 had that direct tie to Ferrari. Well, really, all he did was he went from Haas F1 to the other Ferrari customer team, Alfa Romeo, because they're getting all their engines from Ferrari and probably a fair amount of technical support. We heard that link kind of closed in a little bit more over this past off season to kind of almost mirror what Haas F1 had. So it does make sense that he would go after not getting anything from the major Ferrari team, Haas F1, did a quick conversation with the major Mercedes customer team, Williams, to then go to the other Ferrari team. It makes sense, truth be told. It kind of fits the parameters that he's looking for. And it also fits with what Fred Vasseur said,
Right.
in that, hey, we're not in any hurry to make a decision, because if they're going to end up being sold to Michael Andretti, Michael's probably going to want to have some say in at least one of the two drivers.
Oh, for sure.
Not that I don't think he would complain at all about Valtteri Bottas.
Based on the FIA super license requirements that is listed through FIA, I found it via Wikipedia.
Sure.
All right.
So take this with a grain of salt, because anybody up to and including a trained monkey can edit Wikipedia.
Well, this is true, but this is
Generally, it's pretty close.
Pretty close. The minimum requirements: minimum age of 18 at the start of their first F1 competition, an existing holder of an international Grade A competition license, the holder of a valid driving license for racing, passing of a FIA theory test on knowledge of F1 sporting codes and regulations, completed at least 80% of each of the first two full seasons of any single-seater championships reported in the Supplement 1 of the regulations, and accumulated at least 40 points
40
over the
points.
3 previous seasons. But in 2020, due to COVID, whatever, Amendment 6, Requirement 6 was amended if there was a 3-season window, including the year of 2020. Then the highest scoring 3 seasons of the 4 previous seasons are to be counted. If a driver has accumulated at least 30 points and is currently competing in any of the championships reported in Supplement 1 and has been unable to accumulate the 40 points due to circumstances outside of their control or reasons or force majeure, the license may be granted at the discretion of FIA.
Colton Herta might be right about 30. Might be right about 30. I don't know for certain, and we don't have enough time to really go into a deep dive to see how many points who all's got.
They have a breakdown of every single series that you can accumulate points to go towards a F1 Super License.
Which includes almost all of them but NASCAR. I mean, truth be told.
NASCAR is on it.
They did finally include NASCAR.
NASCAR is on it.
Finally, because I remember doing a breakdown on this, I want to say about 4 or 5 years ago, and NASCAR wasn't included on it.
If you win on the NASCAR, as of 2021, this has been amended.
Okay.
For IndyCar and Formula 2, for winning I'm gonna go winning the championship.
All right.
You get 40 points.
So that would automatically give you an F1 license.
You're automatic.
So Newgarden's got it, Dixon's got it,
Pelot's got it.
Pelot's got it.
All right.
Automatically.
Formula 3, Formula E, Euro Formula 3, and World Endurance Championship LMP1, 30.
Okay.
Formula Regional, European, and GP3 is 25. LMP2 is 20. The Deutsch Tourenwagen Masters and Super GT is 20. The F3 Asian, Formula Regional Americas, Formula Regional Japanese, and Formula Renault Euro Cup. It folded in 2020, but the points accumulation expires in 2023, 18. IMSA Prototypes, 18. World Touring Car, Supercars, NASCAR Cup Series, Indy Lights, W Series, Euro Formula, and Super Formula, 15.
It is interesting to hear where they put NASCAR, the top level of NASCAR, in the pantheon of how many super license points you can
15
get.
super license points. Formula 4, 12.
Because they put LMP up there at 20.
Asian,
I would have figured NASCAR's Cup Series would have been up there with at least LMP1.
Asian Le Mans, European Le Mans, LMGTE Pro, LMGTE Pro-Am, and IMSA GTLM, 10.
Wow.
F3 Asian, National Formula 3, Indy Pro 2000, the Toyota Racing Series, and the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
Okay.
You win those titles, you get 10 super license points.
Drop down Truck Series in there?
No, Truck Series is not
I did
in
not
there.
mention the Truck Series.
If you win an FIA karting championship, you get super license points.
All right, then. It'll be interesting to see. I know that Colton Herta's talked about it. I know Joseph Newgarden has been mentioned as a possible IndyCar to F1 move. Don't know that any of it will actually come to pass, but it could. We'll have to see. Let's get back to that. Let's do this first of all. For those of you that are used to seeing a particular paint scheme for Red Bull, you ain't going to see it this weekend.
Nope.
Honda, as we've detailed, set to withdraw from Formula One as an engine supplier at the end of the year. They're going to turn all of their things over to Red Bull, who will continue with their engine layout and plans into 2022. That being said, Honda officials are now saying that while not being an official supplier, they will be available to Red Bull engineers anytime they're needed through at least the 2022 season. In response, this weekend in Turkey, Red Bull running a special paint scheme thanking Honda, majority white with a lot of red, kind of like the Japanese flag.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah, this race, by the way, is the replacement race for the Japanese Grand Prix, where that look of appreciation was supposed to have run. They're going to run it again this weekend anyway. And then there's back to that Miami Grand Prix when Miami hosts F1 at Hard Rock Stadium next year. Race organizers already hoping it will lead to more. When Circuit of the Americas was built and opened back in 2012, initially it was for F1 only, but then they added IndyCar. And then earlier this year, NASCAR ran there. That has officials in Miami thinking that it could work for them as well if the schedules could align to make it work. Managing partner Tom Garfinkel said of this that there's a very limited window to be able to make that happen, however. F1 slated to race May 8th, 2022, and he said much later, and, well, it's South Florida.
Yeah, buddy.
In addition, it happens in the parking lot of the stadium of the NFL's Miami Dolphins and the college football team Miami Hurricanes, who begin their seasons in September. So the race course would need to be taken down relatively quickly. So, yeah, it's a pretty limited window.
Pretty much.
And last week it was mentioned that IndyCar and NBC are enjoying their partnership, or CBS, I should say, are enjoying their partnership. It's paying off in viewers. They continue an increase in viewership that we have been seeing over the past 3 to 4 years. Not the only ones. As Formula E is reporting increased viewers for Season 7. Year over year, they report a 32% increase in the growth of the cumulative audience watching on live television around the world or finding it online. In the United States, a 25% increase in viewers from 2020 to 2021. The only other markets beating us, Brazil, Italy, Britain, France, and Germany. Nobody was going to beat Germany. Germany's viewership in Formula E jumped 338% from 2020 to 2021.
Yep.
25%, though, not bad. That's about what we've been seeing in motorsports across the board year over the past 3 to 4 years.
Yep.
So nice to see that resurgence. Whatever you got going on this weekend, Charlotte Roval and football of whatever, baseball too. Hope that your team wins. Go Red Sox.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.